Hi, this video is going to cover the lesson on the ellipse, and I'm working from page 559 in your books. It's part of the homework that I gave. There were several students that were in class, so hopefully this will provide a few examples for you and also some extra examples for those of you who were in class. I'd like to start with a general template of an ellipse. It's going to be either this template or this one over here. The only difference between these two templates is the placement of a squared and b squared. As you can see in the first template, a squared is underneath the x, and in the second template, a squared is underneath the y. Now, a squared is also going to define the major axes, so keep that in mind. An ellipse has a major axis and a minor axis, and so I'll explain the significances of this as we go through this question. Okay, so let's just take a look at number 19. As you can see, the center is at 0, 0 because h and k are both 0 and 0. Next, I'm going to pick out the larger number, which is 25, and I'm going to set that equal to a squared. And I'm going to let b squared equal 9. I need the value of a to graph this, so I need to continue the process of solving for a and b. Next, as you can see, c squared is not in the general template, but we need it to find the foci. So it is found by subtracting a squared and b squared. So when I subtract these two values, I get 16. And again, I need to know the value of c to help me determine the foci. All right, to graph this, you're going to take this number 5, and because 25 lied underneath the y term, you're going to graph the center of this ellipse at 0, 0. And you're going to go up 5 and down 5. In other words, north and south of the center, 5 units. So go up 5 and down 5. And in like manner, you're going to go to the left and to the right, or east and west of the center, 3 units. Again, that correlates with the x value. So the x value is going to go east and west 3, and the y value is going to go 5 units north and south. So once you plot those 4 points, you can sketch your ellipse. Next, the foci is located on the major axes, and so in this case it's going to be along the y-axis. And so you're going to take that value of 4 and you're going to add it to the y-coordinate of the center to find the foci. You leave the x value the same, and when you add 4 to that 0, you get 4. And in like manner, you're going to subtract 4 from that to get the other foci. So you get -4. And you can see from this graph that I have both foci graphed on this ellipse along with the vertices and co-vertices. The major axes, those are called the vertices, and along the minor axis, those are called the co-vertices. Let's take a look at the next question. Exact same instructions. The only difference in this one is that a squared is now underneath the x. So I'm going to let a squared equal 81, a will equal 9, b squared will equal 49, and b will equal 7. And again, I'm going to determine the value of c squared by subtracting these two, and I'm going to get 32, and then the square root of 32, and you probably won't see it written like that because it's not simplified. We have a perfect square factor of 16 in that, so 16 times 2 gives me 4 times the square root of 2. And these do get a little bit messy, so don't be intimidated by that, but just do the same thing every time. Okay, so to graph this, we don't need C, we just need A and B. Since A fell underneath the x-axis, this is or the x value, this is going to be the major axes. So I'm going to plot the center and then go east and west 9 units. And you can see that that's what I've done in this, oops, didn't mean to do that, sorry about that, in this particular diagram. And let's get that back, there you go. I've gone 9 units to the left and to the right because a squared was 81 and a was 9. So again, make sure you plot the center, and from the center go 9 units both left and right. Next, b squared was 49, so b was 7, and that lied underneath the y term, y coordinate. So you're going to go north and south 7 units, and that gives you your ellipse. Next, your foci is going to be along the x-axis. So you're not really asked to graph the foci here. You could just simply by putting that square root of 32 into your calculators or 4 square root of 2 into your calculators to get an approximation. But the question is really not asking you to plot the foci, it's just asking you to find the foci. Well, since the foci lies along the x-axis, then I'm going to add that foci to the x-coordinate. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to erase these parentheses because I just need a little bit more space. And next I will just simply add 4 times the square root of 2 to the x-coordinate. And that gives me 4 times the square root of 2 and 0. The y-coordinate stays the same this time. And then you want the negative value of that. And that gives you the 2 foci. And again, that'll be somewhere here. I'm just making an estimation where that is. It's going to be on the inside of the ellipse, and that is how you determine that. Let's look at the third question. This time we're just asked to find the foci. And so in this question, I'm going to, well, first of all, I noticed that it's not written in template form. So let's talk about how to get it written in template form. You want it to look like this. Okay, or of course those two can be switched out. Since it is not equal to 1, it's not in template form. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to transform this using the golden rule of algebra. I need to make this a 1, so the only thing I can do to make it a 1 is divide by 64. Well, what you do to one piece, you must do to them all. And so I'm going to just simply divide everything by 64, and then rewrite the equation. And this is going to give me x squared over 4, because 16 and 64 cancel. And 4 goes into 64 16 times, so that will be y squared over 16 equals 1. And in this equation, you're just trying to find the foci. So keep in mind the foci was determined by subtracting off a squared and b squared. So when I subtract these two, I get 12. And c is therefore equal to the square root of 12, which simplifies to 2 times the square root of 3. Next, I'm going to add that value first. Well, I take that back. We're going to find the center of this circle, of this ellipse. And the center of this ellipse is at 0, 0 again. Next, what I want to do is I want to add c to the coordinate that is the major axes, and since the larger number a squared lies underneath the y, I'm going to add that to the y value. So the foci are going to be located at 0, 2 times the square root of 3, and 0, negative 2 times the square root of 3. Okay. In this next question, we're going to ask to write the equation for this ellipse. Again, this time you've got to figure out what the major and the minor axes are. So as you look at this, you can see that this is the major axis is the x-axis, and I went 3 units to the left and 3 units to the right. So the value of a is 3. So a squared is going to be 9. And in like manner, I went up 2 and down 2, so the length of b is 2. So b squared is 4. And that's it. That one was easy. And finally, this one is very similar to it, only this time it is the major axis is along the y. And if you count these units, it's going to north 3. And so I'm going to put a squared, which is 3 squared. It's going to be 9. And I'm going left and right 1 unit. So x squared is going to be 1 squared, or 1. And we set this equal to 1. And again, the template that we used this time was this one right here, simply because the y-axis was the longer side, had the major axis to it. Okay, that concludes this video. I hope it helps you with the rest of your homework.